We have a massive New York Knicks trade update as Ian Begley has revealed new trade targets for the New York Knicks and two Portland Trailblazers big men in Deandre Ayton and Robert Williams III. And we're going to see how Leon Rose decides to navigate this trade deadline with the impending return of Mitchell Robinson, leading to having so many questions for the New York Knicks, and we're going to break it down. What's up, guys? Welcome back to Knicks Digest. It's Chris here, and we're going to jump right into things as usual. And if you guys like the content, make sure to subscribe. It helps us out a ton. Look, I know there's a ton of trade videos going on right now, and I do plan to move away from them very soon, directly after this video. I promise this is the last one for a little bit, but it is trade season, guys. Like, this is the news that comes out. We're not getting a bunch of other news. We're getting trade rumors. So when news comes out and I talk about it, it's trade stuff. But we're going to go away from that in 1 second. First, we got to talk about Deandre Ayton and Robert Williams III, though. Now, these are two guys who the New York Knicks have had some rumored interest in the past, and Ian Begley has revealed that these two guys are guys to look out for at the trade deadline. The Portland Trailblazers are obviously going to be sellers at the deadline, basically trading away anyone who's not Scoot Henderson, probably not Anthony Simons either, Shady and Sharp, or Denny Avia. Anyone else is really up for grabs. Also, Donovan Clingan's not going to get traded. But basically, anyone else is up for grabs. They'd love to trade Jeremy Grant in order to just get a haul back for him when his value is pretty high. As well as guys like Deandre Ayton, who they could trade for something. Robert Williams, who contenders would be interested in. They have players who teams would be interested in going for, so they're going to use that to their advantage. And Ian Begley mentioned the Knicks are going to be one of those teams looking around. Now, as Begley mentioned, if Mitchell Robinson is not healthy, Begley expects the Knicks to take a look in the trade market, and then you look at the bigs that they've had interest in over the summer, like Jonas Valanciunas, Goga Bitadze, Nick Richards, Robert Williams, and depending on what happens in Portland, he would certainly mention Ayton and Robert Williams as specific targets for the New York Knicks. I mean, we all know Jonas Valanciunas is going to get traded. That's not a debate. We all know he's going to get moved. The second the Wizards signed him, we knew he was going to get moved 6 months later. This was a move for the Washington Wizards to essentially pick up a second-round pick or two. We've seen the New York Knicks do this in the past when they were tanking. This is what smart tanking teams do. They sign veterans who are going to be valuable at the deadline, and then they move those veterans. The Knicks did it with Marcus Morris, and it led to them getting Emmanuel quickly, which led to them getting OG Anunoby, and obviously it all worked out for the New York Knicks, so shout out Marcus Morris. I would love the Knicks to bring him back if they could find out the money to work that out, but that's yet to be seen, maybe come March. But right now, with the New York Knicks, the way things are looking, they will be interested in a ton of big men. Valanciunas, I don't see him getting moved to the Knicks. He's too similar to Karl Anthony Towns. Nick Richards, we've talked about a ton, so we don't really need to go into that at all. Goga Bitadze, I don't see him getting moved. I just don't see him getting traded. I don't know why the Orlando Magic would trade him. I think they'd trade Wendell Carter Jr. before him. I think they'd trade many players before they trade Goga. Goga's been awesome. There's a reason why they just re-signed him. The Knicks had interest over the summer and wanted to sign him, but Goga opted for the Magic, who could offer him more money. Now that that's out of the way, let's talk about the guys who actually matter in this video because these trades are possible. Now, Deandre Ayton's obviously one of them. Deandre Ayton, for the Knicks to trade for him, it's hard to do. There's a lot of salary stuff. He does not make a small amount of money. He makes in the high 20s. It feels unlikely that the Knicks would be able to work out a trade without trading any of their core players. I mean, it's not one of those deals where you could use Mitchell Robinson's contract and someone else's. It feels very unlikely the Knicks can land Deandre Ayton, and I know they've had interest in him, so it wouldn't be the most shocking thing to see. It just feels unlikely at this juncture. Meanwhile, Robert Williams feels like something the Knicks could totally try to work out. Now, again, it makes it a little difficult to do without Mitchell Robinson being in the trade, and the Knicks would not trade Mitchell Robinson, who's better than Robert Williams, for a center who also, like Mitch, has injury concerns. It doesn't add up. Leon Rose is not stupid. But Begley mentions that he'd add Ayton to the list of people the Knicks have interest in because they've done their background work on him. Now, this came in September, mind you, the end of September, right before the Knicks traded for Karl Anthony Towns. But he mentioned that Ayton averaged 23 points and 12.5 rebounds on 18 games played after the All-Star break last season, while shooting 58% from the field during that stretch, and has playoff and NBA Finals experience. Now, again, this was before the Knicks traded for Karl Anthony Towns when they were in dire straits for a big man. Still, the money would have been similar to trying to trade for Towns. It would have been difficult. The Knicks likely would have had to trade Julius Randle to get it done. The Knicks have even less tradable contracts now. So it feels even less likely they'd go for Deandre Ayton, especially because Ayton's big problem is his defense. And the Knicks, well, they need some rim protection, if anything, at the big man slot. The defense is already great for the New York Knicks. They've completely figured it out on defense, and it's why they're on this massive run right now. However, they do desperately still need to find some rim protection. That's not Precious Achiuwa because he's a bit undersized, or Jericho Sims, who isn't really getting it going in New York. Now, Ayton this season has taken that step back once again from what he looked like after the All-Star break. He's only averaging 14.5 points per game with 10 rebounds, which aren't bad numbers per se, but when you're the first overall pick, you're always going to have these high expectations that no one really expects Ayton to hit anymore, but he has had moments where he looks like he could get to that player that was picked over Luka Doncic and Trae Young and Jaren Jackson Jr. That rounds out the top 5 outside of Marvin Bagley, who well, he was the second pick, so that the top 2 in that draft didn't work out very well, but the next 3 picks, they damn well did. Now, Ayton's defensive box plus minus is bad. He's not averaging a block per game despite starting. He's just not the right fit for this team, 26% from 3. There's no need for Deandre Ayton on the New York Knicks. Meanwhile, if the Knicks can figure out a way to get Robert Williams, that's a different story. Coming off the bench, Robert Williams might be undersized, but his defense is amazing. He's also shooting 74% from the field. He's good at getting rebounds. He pulls down 5 a game off the bench. He scores 7.5 points. Has a nice touch around the rim that people don't talk about. He's an underrated passer. He only averages 1 assist, but his passing is underrated. Despite the fact that he's coming off the bench, he's averaging 1.4 blocks per game and basically a steal per game as well. He's a smart player. He doesn't foul often. Robert Williams is a very talented player, has a ton of playoff experience with the Boston Celtics. So he would be a player that the New York Knicks should hold interest in. Now, on top of all that, it was mentioned by Jake Fisher that the Trailblazers aren't eager to part ways with Robert Williams, as the team likes his fit alongside young guards Scoot Henderson and Anthony Simons. Fisher also noted that there's been ongoing inbound interest in the 27-year-old, as he's currently on the Los Angeles Lakers wish list of centers to target prior to the February 6th trade deadline. Let me just give you guys a big secret right here. It's not just the Lakers. The Lakers are just the easiest name to attach to things because they're the Lakers and they have LeBron. It just makes sense. However, at the same time, the Knicks will be interested. Any other team that needs a big man is contending will be interested in Robert Williams. He just does everything right on the court. He's a very smart player. He is talented on both ends of the floor. He's on a team that he has no business being on because the Trailblazers have DeAndre Ayton and Donovan Clingan, and Clingan's their center of the future, so they're going to trade Ayton at some point, and they're certainly going to trade Robert Williams. Even though they like his fit there, they're going to like Clingan's fit better because they just drafted him 7th overall. So they're going to try and use Donovan Clingan more than anyone else, especially because Clingan is 7'2". And, there's no denying that his defensive impact in the NBA is going to be massive once he hits his ceiling, which isn't extremely high. I'd say, the best case scenario for Clingan is that he becomes Rudy Gobert. I don't think he'll become that good. Rudy Gobert, despite the fact that he gets more hate than literally everyone, he is so good at what he does. There's a reason why he's been this elite rim protector for so many years and a great rebounder. He does his role well. People just get upset that he can't defend the perimeter. Sorry that he can. He's still a good player. Donovan Clingan is going to be very similar. He's not very coordinated as far as NBA players go, but he's going to be very important for the Portland Trailblazers. I actually would buy a ton of Donovan Clingan stock if I were you. I think he's really going to figure it out. He's got a nice touch at the rim. He's a really good roll man. He can hit a mid-range very well, and no one seems to care about it. Clingan's a very interesting prospect, so stay tuned for more, not on this channel, but stay tuned for Donovan Clingan to really start breaking out one of these years, and especially because he's a rookie, so he doesn't have to right now, and the Blazers know that. It's why they're not in a rush to trade Robert Williams. Also, it raises Robert Williams' value if they decide, hey, we like him. Maybe we won't trade him at the trade deadline. Yeah, it's simple, but it will raise his value, so it will be an interesting thing to see them do. Now, we're going to see what Leon Rose does. The Knicks are going to make a move. They make a trade literally every single NBA trade deadline. Oftentimes, they're the first team to make a trade, whether it's trading Kevin Knox and a first for Cam Reddish, or Cam Reddish and a first for Josh Hart, which is one of the great trades in Knicks history, whether it's trading Dennis Smith Jr. and a second-round pick for Derrick Rose, or all these trades that Leon Rose has made, the RJ and Quickly for OG trade, and Precious, and Malachi Flynn, Evan Fournier, and what's-his-face, Quentin Grimes. I just forgot Quentin Grimes, oh my god. They obviously led to Bojan Bogdanovic and Alec Burks, which led to Mikal Bridges, who's now balling out. So it all works out in the end. Leon Rose is very good when he gets to make trades, and he's going to make one this offseason, or this trade deadline, and probably in the offseason also he's going to trade Mitch. But that's a story for another day. Guys, with Mitchell Robinson coming back, it's a big question mark, but since he's not coming back till around February, they're only going to have 6 days until the deadline, so they're probably going to go out and get some Mitchell Robinson insurance. I would. They're a contender. They're smart. They know what they're doing, and it's not the worst idea to basically tell a center, hey, we know we traded for you. We know you're going to be riding the bench for a while, but Mitchell Robinson's injury prone, and we're probably going to trade him in the offseason because he's not going to re-sign with us because we're going to sign Mikal Bridges and Josh Hart to extensions and won't be able to sign him. So he's going to walk in free agency anyway, so we're going to move him. So just stay tuned. And I hope it's Nick Richards. I think Nick Richards might be okay with that because he's from New York, so he'll give him a little leeway. And also, you could totally just play Nick Richards or Mitchell Robinson with Karl-Anthony Towns, and then problem solved. You could play all three big men, and everybody's happy. But guys, let me know what you think down below. Like this video, subscribe, turn on post notifications. Have a great Saturday, guys. Go Knicks.